Hey everybody, happy Valentine's Day for the Mage of Ancients. Today I'm bringing you guys my debut Rose Dragon deck profile. Of course, we are missing a couple of cards for this deck to really go off, like White Rose Dragon and Aromaseraphy Jasmine. But those cards are coming out within the next couple of months, so I will be doing an update on this deck when those cards release. In the meantime, since it's Valentine's Day today, I figured that it would be fun to bring you guys a Valentine's Day themed deck profile. Also, I am catching up on Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, and I will say that Akiza is one of my favorite characters of all time, if not one of the coolest. Sure, she has those witch powers, or psychic powers, whatever you want to call them, but by the end of the first season, I think that she has been able to cope with those powers, and not let those powers get in the way of really living her life. At the end of the day, Akiza is bae. Am I right? Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this deck profile. If you guys enjoy deck profiles just like this, then be sure to subscribe to this channel and ring the notification bell so you stay updated on my latest Yu-Gi-Oh videos. Also, leave suggestions down in the comments below with what other deck profiles you guys would like to see. But enough about that, let's get started with this Rose Dragon deck profile. To start off, for the main deck monsters, of course I run 3 copies of Red Rose Dragon and only 2 copies of Blue Rose Dragon. I don't think you need any more than 2. But if you guys want to incorporate a third Blue Rose Dragon, then you guys could go ahead and do that. Blue Rose Dragon, of course, if it's destroyed and sent from your field to the graveyard, then you can special summon either a plant monster or a Black Rose Dragon back from your graveyard. But I really love this new support that we got from Sisters of the Rose. Of course, I'm talking about Red Rose Dragon. So what's really cool about Red Rose Dragon, is that it actually gets you 2 cards for the price of 1 if you sent for the field to the graveyard, or is it sent to the graveyard for the synchro summon of a Black Rose Dragon. So what you could do is that if it's sent to the graveyard for a synchro summon, then you can special summon a different Rose Dragon monster from your hand or deck. In this case, that's why I decided to run an additional copy of Blue Rose Dragon. Also, if it's sent from the field to the graveyard for the synchro summon of a Black Rose Dragon, then you can search your second card, which is either a Frozen Rose or a Blooming of the Darkest Rose. And in my opinion, Frozen Rose is probably the best support that we got out of that booster set. Next, for the monsters, I run 3 copies of Lone Fire Blossom. This, of course, lets you special summon any plant monster from your main deck. Speaking of plants, I do run the Predaplant engine, 3 copies of Scorpio, and 1 Cobra. This course is meant to search out for a Brilliant Fusion, so that way I can get out Seraphinite for that extra normal summon. And these are the monsters that I'm running in conjunction with the Predaplant engine. 2 Hat Trigger, 1 Performance Damage Juggler, 1 Aromaseraphy Angelica, and finally any Gem Knight monster. In this case, I'm running Gem Knight Emerald. You guys can run Performance Trick Clown if you want to, but in my personal opinion, I just like Damage Juggler, just so that Hat Trigger is searchable and I can get those extra special summons. I'm running Aromaseraphy Angelica along with Damage Juggler, just so that in case I just happen to draw 1 light monster, that I can search on my deck for the other light monster in order to send it off with Brilliant Fusion. Next up for the monsters, I decided to try out the Dark Warriors. I'm running Armageddon Knight, Dark Grepher, and Twilight Rose Knight. And I'm also throwing in only 1 copy of the Strudo. I've heard other people decide to run 3 copies of the Strudo, so you guys can go ahead and do that. But I decided to just run it down to 1, just so that I can forget about the risk of paying too much life points in order to special summon it. So normal summoning Armageddon Knight and getting the Strudo into your graveyard makes an instant Black Rose Dragon. And same thing goes for Dark Grepher if you guys want to get an additional dark monster into your graveyard. Twilight Rose Knight, you can use it to special summon either Lone Fire Blossom or Scorpio or your Carrot Weight champion. Next, I'm running 2 copies of Rose Lover. You can banish this card from your graveyard in order to special summon any plant monster from your hand, such as World Carrot Weight Champion, or Globe Bulb, or Spore. Through testing, I've had some conflicts with Spore just because I don't have a level 2 plant monster in my deck in order to banish it, in order to special summon this from my graveyard so that I can make another level 7. But I do have level 3 plant monsters, so that I can just banish one of those and then make Spore a level 4 and then synchro summon with another level 4 monster in order to go to a level 8. So I'm not too worried about that. Carrot Weight and Glow Up Bulb, of course, great monsters as well. If you dump a Carrot Weight champion into your graveyard, and then you can search for Glow Up Bulb, and you can dump Glow Up Bulb into the graveyard, and then special summon back your World Carrot Weight champion, and then mill the top card of your deck to the graveyard to special summon Glow Up Bulb, and you can already make your Garden Rose Maiden. The last monster that I'm running in my main deck is Dark Rose Fairy. This number of Dark Rose Fairies might go up to 3, just because I don't have that many tuners to special summon, so that's why I decided to only run 1 copy. And now going on to my spells, I do run 3 copies of Frozen Rose. Like I said, this is probably the best support that we got from the Sisters of the Rose booster set. So you can send one monster, you face-up monster you control to the graveyard, and then apply whichever effect depending on the type of monster that you send to the graveyard this way. So what you could do is that if you sent a plant monster from your field to the graveyard using Frozen Rose, during the end phase, you could draw 2 cards and then discard 1. I'm not really sure why Konami decided to include that extra phrase where I have to discard 1 card, so that's basically losing some card advantage. So in the meantime, I decided that the second effect is the best effect among the 2 of Frozen Rose. So if you send a non-plant monster instead from your field to the graveyard, you can add a level 4 or lower plant monster from your deck to your hand. The next spell that I run is 3 copies of Called by the Grave. One of the biggest weaknesses that I found with this Rose Dragon Synchro deck is that it's very susceptible to hand traps. So that's why I just feel like that running Called by the Grave will almost guarantee that my plays will go through. Next card that I run is 2 copies of Return of the Dragon Lords. Since I'm running Dragon Synchro monsters in my extra deck, then I felt that it would be okay to run at least 2 copies of Return of the Dragon Lords. I decided to run only 2 copies because I do want to avoid bricking. And finally, for the 1-of spells, I run Brilliant Fusion, of course, Monster Reborn, 1 for 1, Reinforcement of the Army, and Foolish Burial. You guys can incorporate whatever spells that you want to instead, but this is the spell lineup that I'm going with. And now for my extra deck. For the Synchro monsters, the first Synchro monster that I run is Garden Rose Maiden. This is, of course, one of the newest Black Rose Dragon support cards that we got in Sisters of the Rose. And I don't run Black Garden in this build, but I do enjoy its second effect. That's what I want to use off of Garden Rose Maiden. So you can banish this card from your graveyard, and then target 1 Rose Dragon or Dragon Synchro monster in your graveyard, and then special summon it. I'm running plenty of Dragon Synchro monsters in my extra deck, so that's not a problem for me. So only 1 Garden Rose Maiden. You guys can run more than 1 if you want to. The next Synchro monster that I run is actually pretty much a last minute addition. So I actually run Shiranui Sword Saga. So this is a level 5 Synchro monster, so you can make it with the same materials as you would Garden Rose Maiden. What's cool about Sword Saga is that if it's special summoned, then you can target any monster on the field and then change its battle position. What's even better about Sword Saga is that it doesn't require any Shiranui specific monsters or zombie monsters or any archetype specific monsters. So it's the generic level 5 synchro that you can easily make. And this is supposed to work in tandem with the Black Rose Dragon's attack reducing effect. So you get Sword Saga on your field and Black Rose Dragon, and then you can target a defense position monster that your opponent controls and then zap it using Black Rose Dragon's effect. Speaking of Black Rose Dragon, of course, I do run 1. You guys can run multiple Black Rose Dragons if you want to. I was actually contemplating before this deck profile that I should run more than just 1 copy. Of course, this extra deck is going to change when White Rose Dragon and Aroma Seraphy Jasmine arrives at the TCG. It's just that I don't think that I really need more than 1 Black Rose Dragon in the meantime. And to replace my other 2 copies of Black Rose Dragon, of course, I do run Black Rose Moonlight Dragon. Actually, I think it was Sword Saga that replaced one of my copies of Black Rose Dragon. Anyway, it has an effect where if it's special summoned, then you can target a special summon monster that your opponent controls and then bounce it. This is especially good since you can bring it back with cards like Monster Reborn and Return of the Dragon Lords. The next Synchro monster that I run is F.A. Dawn Dragster. This is a pretty good card. I've seen a lot of people run this card in their decks, so I figured why not run into my deck as well. So you can use this effect to reduce its level by 2 to negate the effect of an opponent's spell or trap card. Along with my Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, I also decided to include Clear Wing Synchro Dragon. Of course, since you have Black Rose Dragon and you have a Glow Up Bulb that you can, of course, upgrade into Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, but Clear Wing is just as good as well. Maybe your opponent tries trying to use Ultimate Conductor Tyranno's effect to flip all your monsters face down, so as long as you have Clear Wing Synchro Dragon on the field, then you can negate that effect. The last Synchro monsters that I run in my extra deck are Skylight Red Dragon Archfiend, Stardust Spark Dragon, and the newest addition, Warlord Savage Dragon. So for the Link monsters, I only run Wendy, Summon Sorceress, Curious, and Saryuja Skuldred. And the last monster that I run in my extra deck, of course, is Gemknight Seraphonite for that extra normal summon. So basically, after you Link climb using your Wee Witch's Apprentice into either Summon Sorceress or Curious or Saryuja, then you can synchro summon your Warlord Savage Dragon and then equip your Wee Witch's Apprentice to it, and then Savage Dragon gains world counters equal to Wee Witch's Link rating, which is Link 2. This is the extra deck that I'm going with, at least until the White Rose Dragon and the Aromaseraphine Jasmine arrives in the TCG. So feel free to incorporate whatever extra deck monsters you guys want to into your own build. Before I go, guys, I thought it would be fun to show you all a cute 3-card combo that you can do using these cards that you see on the screen right here. So, of course, you need Predaplant Orpheus Scorpio, Carrot Weight, and Red Rose Dragon. So, to start off with the combo, of course, you're going to normal summon or special summon Predaplant Orpheus Scorpio, depending on whether you want to use your normal summon or just turbo it out with Lone Fire Blossom. You're going to ditch your Carrot Weight, and they're going to use Scorpio's effect to search and special summon your Darlingtonia Cobra. Now you're going to use Cobra's effect in order to search for Brilliant Fusion. Of course, like I said, we don't have Aromaseraphine Jasmine yet in the TCG, but we will. In the meantime, you're going to use your 2 Predaplants in order to special summon, Link summon actually, your Wee Witch's Apprentice, or Wendy as I like to call her. Now you're going to activate Brilliant Fusion since you now have 2 extra monster zones with a Link monster. You're going to send a Gemknight monster and their Damage Juggler to the graveyard, right there. And you're going to fusion summon your Gemknight Seraphonite. Now you have an extra normal summon, but what I want to do first is that I want to banish Damage Juggler in order to search for my Hat Trigger, right there. Now you're going to normal summon your Red Rose Dragon to the other zone that Wendy points to, and you can also special summon your Hat Trigger right now. So now that you have 3 Link materials, basically, you have Hat Trigger as a spellcaster and Wendy as counting as 2 Link materials. You're going to send those away and Link summon your Summon Sorceress in your other extra monster zone. In the extra monster zone, actually. So now what you're going to do is that you're going to use Summon Sorceress effect, target Red Rose Dragon in order to special summon Blue Rose Dragon straight from your deck. Now you are going to synchro summon using Red and Blue Rose Dragon for Black Rose Dragon. Red Rose Dragon's effect at the graveyard is going to activate, getting you 2 cards for the price of 1. So what you're going to do is you're going to use Red Rose Dragon's effect to special summon your other Blue Rose Dragon straight from your deck, and you're also going to use its effect to search out Frozen Rose since Red Rose Dragon was used for the synchro summon of a Black Rose Dragon. Make sure that you guys can see that. Let's see. Okay, so now, since you already used its normal summon, you can just activate Frozen Rose to send your Seraphonite away, and then search for Glow Up Bulb. Right there. Now, let's see if I can... There we go. Now, since Carrot Weight is in the graveyard, then you can actually use this effect to special summon itself from the graveyard by sending any plant from your hand to the graveyard. And you can special summon it right there. So now you're going to use Glow Up Bulb's effect to send the top card of your deck to the graveyard in order to special summon it from special summon your Glow Up Bulb. There we go. Now, you can do either one of 2 things. You can either send your Black Rose Dragon and Glow Up Bulb to the graveyard in order to get out a monster negate. Actually, a card negate. So in this case, it's Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. But you can go the other route, actually. And you can send your Glow Up Bulb and your Carrot Weight instead in order to synchro summon your Shiranui Sword Saga. And since Sword Saga was a special summon, that you could target a monster on the field and change its battle position. So in the case that one of your opponent's monsters has an attack, has a monster in attack mode, that you can use Sword Saga's effect to change it to defense position, and then use Black Rose Dragon's effect in order to banish one of your plants from the graveyard. In this case, it's a Cobra. And then target that defense position monster and then zap it of its attack strength. So, yeah. It really depends on whichever route that you want to go. But this is just a little combo that I thought would be fun to show you guys. So that's it for this deck profile, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to leave suggestions down in the comments below with what other deck profiles you guys would like to see for the new format. Also, if you guys enjoyed this video and you want to help support the channel, be sure to hit that like button. And if you guys haven't so already, subscribe to this channel and ring the notification bell so you stay updated on my latest Yu-Gi-Oh videos. Also, let me leave you guys with this little piece of advice. Despite it being Valentine's Day, showing your love for somebody else should not be something that should be limited to just one single day every year. Be willing to show your friends, your family, and your loved ones how much you care for them and how much you respect them every single day of the year. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and I hope to see you again.